Hello and welcome. So, if you don't know who I am, I'm Sharon Martin from Inner Sanctum Studios, and essentially, one of my roles is to be a messenger for Gaia, who sits here behind me in her maiden form. So, she is the goddess of our earth. She holds us beautifully in her heart, and I meet with her, speak with her, converse with her most days, and she brings me messages to bring through. Excuse me. I know that's right. To you. So we are in quite incredible times and really exciting times and hugely pressurizing times, intense, very intense energies that have been coming through in the last few days, and they are going to get more intense. We've got this absolute speed up of particles in the atmosphere streaming in through the magnetosphere and into our geomagnetic fields. And so that comes in through to the earth, and of course, it affects us because we are here. And so that brings us a lot of, interesting factors, really. So we're in a lot of phases, like what is going to go, we are going to have a really big energetic day tomorrow. We've had 2 very intense days already. And then when we get into December, it's going to accelerate. So I will just go back to the beginning of my notes. There's quite a few pages of them. And you just do feel that you can ask some questions, but I'll see how I go with them. Sorry, I just before I was due to come live, one of my sisters rang me, and I haven't spoken to her for a bit, and someone in her family's been in hospital. So I grabbed my book and came in here. Okay, so it's really about how much I give you right now. That's would have been good if I'd fathomed that out before. Okay, I think I'll start here. So Gaia says that we are in the ejection portal. And the ejection portal, you could see this as a long, skinny tunnel that has a narrowness. Hello, Charlotte. That has a narrowness in the middle. So it's if it starts here, it narrows down in here. We're in the center of it. That's how it shows up. And we're in extreme acceleration. So she's saying we're in the ascension corridor, but in exceptionally fast frequencies. And so you are feeling and processing, many of you might be feeling and processing the collective release of the fear matrix, because this is a big aspect of what we're going through at the moment, the releasing of the fear matrix. So these are all of the conditions and impositions that have held humanity in fear, which in turn keeps us kind of battling away at one another instead of working collectively. It keeps us in a lower vibration. It doesn't enable us to see higher, to see further, to see greater, to feel bigger, to feel more into our hearts, and to be in higher consciousness. So this is really, we're going to be using war terms, which is not necessarily the best, but this has been our battle, and we're in the final aspects or the final throes of this battle. So we have been releasing the financial bindings, we've been releasing the vows of poverty, we've been releasing the secret overlays, inculcations, and infiltrations, and we are releasing these matrix contracts that are essentially the slave contracts for humanity. So as you can appreciate, if you have kind of thought about this, about how we are manipulated, coerced, pushed, pulled, slapped, legislated, convinced, tricked into various points of view and sorts of or types of behavior in relation to everything in our world. There's a lot of factors that come into our circle of influence, if you like, and they've been based on what Gaia is calling these codes that link into the matrix of fear, and these slave contracts. So she is saying that you will feel different aspects of these as they release from the 3D matrix, and it completes release from its holding pattern on the collective for this next little while. So especially over the last few days and over this next week or so, you may be feeling into the energies of that, and how you might be feeling them is perhaps dipping into what is being released. So that's been my experience. This I had a few days ago on Saturday. On Saturday, I was totally in depressed, suicidal energies. And then I popped out of those, and then I was in poverty consciousness and lack and there not being enough. So I think that was yesterday. Today, I felt like I had respite, actually. I felt like I'd popped through and was back to myself. Right, I might just find my glasses in here. Not quite enough light at this time of the day. So I will just read through some of these things that I've written in quite tiny print. So she is saying we are completing release from the holding patterns on the collective for the next week or so. So we are looking to kind of reinstate aspects that hold truth and constancy and that support us in ways of self, in ways of sovereignty, money, truth, privacy, the healing of the core wounds, especially around abandonment, anything that intrudes on us that creates separation, anything that inverts harmoniousness, and also this return to our DNA upgrades, or our 12th dimensional DNA and our 12 strands of DNA being reconnected, and coming back into, this greater sort of transfiguration of the body and into community flow, and moving back into unity consciousness. Also, this restoration of the rhythms and patterns in our earth, the things that have tied us in that regard in terms of toxins in our food, air, and water, and also the frequency interruptions, the way in which music was changed Hertz during World War II or World War One, so that it was an interfering frequency. It created a disharmony, a disunity, and frequency interference in our systems, in our brain, the same as the frequencies that are run in our services, and through our devices. So this coming into also releasing things in relation to the hive mind and into all the aspects of communication, the lack of privacy. All of those things are going to, and it's massive, isn't it? That they'll all be overturned. So what I know is that they will all be overturned and restored by the end of next year at the latest. But what is happening here is that it's like it showed up as a series of trap doors. So the trap doors are in the center of the earth. They were being opened up, and they were very much like if you've ever been on a boat that has a hatch that sits on the deck by the bow up the front. The hatch that opens up, there's often a rolling device or a rotating device that the rope or the wire from the anchor is on. It reminded me of those. And so these threads that have been placed in there that are to do with the slavery, the inculcation of the slavery contracts, they show up wrapped around in there. So even if we cut them off at the top, they are embedded in our earth. That's how it got shown to me. So those doors have all been, the trap doors have been sort of unlocked and opened up, and those if you imagine if you were standing on the boat and you're pulling the anchor rope with your hands, it's like that's what's happening with these in all of those fields. And so I don't think I need to go into all the details of it, but just be aware that if you are sensitive, you may be feeling these energies run through your energy field, and you may be wondering, well, what is going on for me? Why am I feeling scared? Why am I feeling alone? Why am I feeling like a victim? Why am I feeling abandoned? Why am I worrying about my own personal security? Well, this could be why. And so just check in with yourself about that. So she shows me that this is unlocking the trapdoors deep in the earth, letting go and releasing all the old entrapment codes and formula that have held us in this 3D matrix. But we are being released from it. And all the old and conceded, no, bad printing, all the old and concealed secretive contracts, oaths and promises, including the twisted truth of who you are. So these are all being undone, released and terminated, and this includes any karmic loops and karmic contracts. So I find that that in my perception, most of those have been all finished and closed off. But it's blown me away really, because I'm like, what? We've got more? And it's like we've gone deeper and deeper for this deeper purification and this deeper release. So surely we're not going to have any more after that. All right, so let me see what else is here in my stacks of pages of notes. Okay, so I've done that. Right, so now I've done some notes to do a video on awakening. All right, so we are in this huge transformation, and you might feel as though you're being squeezed, but to the extent of like you're being in a juicer, and asking yourself, I was feeling into that and imagining that, and I was feeling like, so are we the juice or are we the fiber left after all the juice has been squeezed out? And I think that we're both, but really we're the juice. So we might also think about things like resistance is futile. I mean, the more you resist, the more pain you'll be, and that's the bottom line. So to try and be in flow and allowance, let any resistance go, deal with what arises in the moment, try not to be projected too far forward. I always think if you think about standing up straight and upright and dealing with just what's at your feet, that's a good way of navigating these energies. And the other imagery is thinking about being caught, and it's not the right word when I say jet propeller, but I don't think the jet stream, it's powerful, right? You can get sucked into it. You can imagine being in the midst of that, like being in a tumble dryer that's going super fast and you're in there with a whole lot of debris and rubbish. We could be having that kind of experience. She says flow, allow, and envision. So envision your what's coming up without being in it. Just envisage that. In your body, you're being squeezed and purified and expanded in order that you can transition into greater light, higher consciousness. You are being affected by plasma light, which is carrying rainbow and diamond codes to up-level your consciousness, to bring higher cellular transformation. You may be feeling very heated up in your body, in your internal system and organs. We're having at this time, there seems to be quite a lot of focus on our organs being purified. And so that can feel quite uncomfortable. It's like as though someone's got their hand in your belly, squeezing your organs. Right, so I wrote down here, run through from head to toe. So first of all, at the feet. In my experience, I want to know how many of you are doing this, but one of my clients today, she started talking to me about it, and I said, oh yes, I've been having that too. It feels as though when your feet are on the floor, it feels as though there's this electricity running through them, as though you're almost on some kind of electric circuitry under the carpet or something like that. And so it's very tingly in the soles of the feet. And I believe that that's because the magnetosphere is weakening. There's more holes in it that allows more of what we've got coming from the sun. But there's this sort of slight imbalance because we've got more electrical energy. So yeah, be interested to see how many of you are experiencing that. I'll have a look at the questions before we get too many of them, or your comments in a second. Right, a lot of people are having big, brain crown upgrades, a lot of energy coming in to affect the brain. I can tell you that my experience, and you can maybe you've had this experience as well, but when I know that I can't find words and I had that experience yesterday. I was talking to a friend, and and her and I did some Akashic training work together a few years ago, and we were talking about all sorts of, when we did that, we did a whole lot of like practice sessions over Zoom with one another, and we found all these incredible past life experiences or current or parallel life experiences that we'd spent together. And I just so struggled to remember the words to be attached with it. So I said to her, look, I'm sorry. I know that this relates to my brain having an upgrade, but we've got lots of energies coming in for brain upgrades. The brain upgrades to me is, if you think about brain surgery, which is not what you're having, but it's like brain surgery. It's as though some aspects, some connectivity, some segments of neural pathway and synapses are moved, or the functionality that they have is moved out of the brain and more into cellular cognition or cogniscience, or into the collective consciousness or the web of knowledge, so that we can hold higher, higher functions, higher codes, higher algebraic don't know. But higher ways of using our brain. Maybe you have that. Where am I up to? Okay, third eye. So a lot of people are having third eye upgrades. That will affect you in a number of ways. Here in the center of the forehead, you might feel energy as though someone's pushing on there, or an energy around it. The back and the occipital bone, that's the rear aspect of your third eye. You might feel energy in there. You may feel energy in your temples. You may feel like a ring of energy or an arc of energy between your temples across your brow to the other temple, all the way around. And it can be quite strong in the effect it has on your physical eyes. You might feel as though your eyes are strained, as though there's pain in behind your eyes, and all of that relates to third eye upgrades. I believe that we will get lots and lots of those because our physical vision is going to take on a lot of new operations, if you like. So lots of ability to see further, wider through energetic fields, to zone in, to zoom in, things like that, to magnify. They're still not any better. Oh my goodness. Throat, glands. So you may find that your glands are swollen, and this is all part of our purification process. So just be aware of that. I certainly am feeling my glands in here are very swollen at the moment. Throat. So throat definitely links into the fact that you might be doing that. You might have phlegm in your throat. You might be wanting to clear your throat. The throat if you like, the throat is lining up to be ready to be speaking only truth. And so the release is coming through the throat, where we are learning to expand our throat so that we can speak our truth without fear. So that aspect is happening. And then the higher heart, which is here. So this is where we hold our purpose, our mission, our higher consciousness can link in here in frequency. You might find that it feels, so mine often gets a bit red, looks, if I touch it, you can see it kind of has this swollen look. Sometimes it looks like there's almost like an egg yolk underneath it. And you can use a tapping motion to sort of help activate that as well. For me, it connects to the heart, the higher heart, and the throat. They're having strong activation connections at the moment as we're learning as a collective, and some of us might be very good at this now, but as a collective, we are learning to feel. We're learning to feel what our heart wants us to say and to express it through the throat, and it marries in through this higher purpose mission aspect, and we're in practice with that really. The heart has been, the heart's been going through kind of extreme expansions really. We might have thought, I certainly did, I thought, oh no, my heart's pretty open, but my heart has just opened and opened and opened more, as though there's a whole series of stretching and gateways being opened, and that includes the higher heart. So anything that you feel in the heart as an energy or as a pain, that may be a past life or a current life kind of wounding to the heart. A lot of people have very deep wounding in the heart, and that can be from this lifetime or from other lifetimes. So just be aware that it's all coming up. It's all coming up to be looked at and released, and it often doesn't require a lot of work now. It's just that it's a cellular kind of ejection, really. It's coming out of the cells, and it's your role to notice it. And when you notice it, be in dialogue with it. I always suggest put your hand over wherever the pain is and attune to it, and have a conversation with it and just allow it to be dissolved or released or to tell you what it needs. And a lot of people have, it's like, I always feel it as like lots of little bruisings in the heart, but we are coming into really using our heart and our soul, our higher heart, as our GPS, as our navigation tool. So be aware that it's changing its functionality, really. Solar plexus energies are behaving in quite convulsive ways at the moment, because I want to say that it's because we are having this power struggle. We're having this internal power struggle with ourself, with our right to hold power, to be in our power, to be in our sovereign power, to be in our higher empowerment on our own as a sovereign being, separate to the world, although of the world. And there's stuff coming up that is making that feel uneasy, as though we are really separating from the umbilical, as though we are, severing from the mother, and we're not. We're just becoming more autonomous, more in our own sovereign power. And so in here, in this part of the top part of the abdomen, that's all to do with power, empowerment, and it might also be to do with childhood or old childhood wounds. So just be aware that we're really on the last laps of this, and so it just serves us to attend to whatever is coming up. But if you're feeling that in your solar plexus, then there's issues around issues. It's such a kind of loose therapy word to use, but there are cellular memories to be attended to from either this lifetime or others. And then in the sexual organs, we're having a lot of Kundalini energy, which is mostly rising up through the spine. So I must remember to attend to the back as well. So the Kundalini energy is coming up through the tailbone, up through the spine. That can have quite a warming effect. If your spine is not straight, if your spine has a little kink or a little contusion or a little compaction, it might get a little bit stuck. So, move your body around, figure 8, pelvic rocking, just gentle rocking movements, get it to move. Also, weirdly for some anyway, we're having wing activation. So I've spoken about that before, but the shoulder blades at the back and the accompanying bones in the front, they're all to do with wing activations from previous incarnations as a winged being, be that angel, elemental, bird person. So if you're feeling those, if they're feeling a bit sort of achy or stretchy, could be to do with that. Always, of course, if you feel to, go and get them checked medically. Right, sexual organs. So these energies that we're coming into, there's a lot of sexual and creative energies. Now, they sit in the second chakra, in the pelvis, in the ovaries, in the testes. The energies can be feeling strong in that area, and what I see around that is as though we're rebirthing ourselves if we haven't already. We've had considerable events or journeys or pieces of time where we've been doing that, and our sexual organs really are being cleaned out as well, and so they might feel as though they're a bit squeezed. So yeah, just be gentle. They're delicate, they're fine, they're high frequencies, they carry amazing codes, but yet you might be feeling that. And then if you're feeling stuff, energy, pain and behind your kneecaps. That's the old stories from your matriarchal line and your patriarchal line. So they might just be coming to be cleared. If you've got sore hips, that may be to do with the pelvis is all about birthing, even if it's not birthing children, it's birthing ideas. So it might be that there's something that your body is going, oi, you, come on, we're meant to be doing this project. So be aware, talk to your body, it talks to you. And then if you are having issues with legs and feet, or legs and thighs, calves, that might be to do with being really prodded to take some action. So it doesn't mean that you have to go and do it, but just be aware that our body, we're really clearing out the things that prevent us from being in our higher alignment. And then we can be very guided by our body. It will give us great information. I think that's about it. Right, let's see what else is in this book. Oh, yeah, so I wrote a lot of emphasis in the higher heart because people are really being triggered is a gentle word. I mean that quite gently. I'm sorry. These are filthy. Into what you're here to do. The higher heart has a big part to play in that. So take note. Write down what comes, explore what you love to do, explore what you've always wanted to do or complete or have a go at, and begin to consider what you would do if there were no constraints, if there was nothing that held you back from being the greatest version of yourself. What would you do? How would you make that into some kind of service for humanity? And that will take you a long way towards figuring out what your purpose and mission might be. So the other note I wrote about that is that you might find that wounds come up and you think, I've already done that, and you might have, but it's like things coming up for a last little look, a last little review. So don't give yourself a hard time about it. Just say, okay, you're here for me to have a look at. What's here? What is there that might need acknowledgement or tweaking or a final look at? And yeah, so I wrote possibly coming for a revisit. That was what came through. And so you can ask your higher self, what is there for me? Hey, higher self, give me some guidance around this. What is there for me to complete or to look at here? So these particles in and around the planet are moving super fast. That's affecting the particles that are in our body. That's why we're heating up. That's why we're moving into faster transformation, transmutation, transmigration. And you may feel such a squeeze, and this sounds funny, but that an eruption may occur. And so it's not like a giant pimple. It's as though how I got shown it like this, as though we may energetically erupt out through the crown like a fountain, as in an energetic way. You might feel that Gaia was showing me this explosive energy, like a volcanic eruption out of the crown chakra. And of course, these volcanic eruptions, they are happening on the earth as well, as the earth is releasing in the same way as we are, and the earth is expanding in the same way as we are. It feels like we will be surrounded by and in the midst of a lot of chaos over this next month, because it's fast. the energy is fast, it's quick moving, it's transitional, it's designed to get things sorted, both in our bodies and in the world. This will also create a lot of heat in the body that may translate into anger for some people. In a way, what Gaia is saying is stay in peace, stay in ease, that this is like our own internal solar sun heating up in preparation for this next part. Also, you might be feeling that heat in your heart. So this, connects in our internal solar sun and the solar plexus with the external sun. I want to say that if you think back to, I don't know when, but the sun used to be this orange, golden, yellow, right? And then it became more golden yellow and then more yellow. And now it's virtually white. Now, to me, that makes perfect sense because in the time I've been working with Gaia, I've been shown how the sun is our nourishment and how we will have a higher dimensional sun that will replace our existing sun when we move into our fifth dimensional bandwidth. And I've got stuff to tell you about that, which is pretty exciting. So a lot of chaos, maybe feeling chaos in the body, in the world, heat in the body, internal solar system. Stay in peace in your heart. And remember that there is likely to be provocation. So provocation from these outside agencies that are trying to keep humanity stuck in the fear loop, unable to move into higher consciousness, because fear is what stops that. If we are in fear, we can't move into higher consciousness. And this is likely to come through, MS or mainstream media news outlets declaring that particular things are happening. And be observant of yourself around it, because I believe that we'll be told things that aren't true, and we won't have any evidence of them not being true unless we can directly see that they aren't true. But we can feel into that in our bodies. The darker elements are likely to pull out all the stops now, because they are very aware that they have lost. So they were probably aware of this quite some time ago, but they've still been carrying on because they don't have anything to lose. That's the thing to remember. So the darker elements that sit at the end of, the negative end of the spectrum. I mean, we're all on that spectrum. We all experience all of that spectrum. But how Gaia speaks about that is as though if this is the spectrum and it was this wide, the dark stretched this part out here to an area that's saturated in evil, and it's like an extra tail on that spectrum that didn't used to be here. So they cannot exist beyond the fourth dimension. So that's why they have to keep us in fifth and lower dimension and third or fourth dimension to maintain their existence. So just, that's like scrapping somebody when they are in a corner or on the edge. But they cannot go much further dimensionally. We're already moving in and out of fourth and fifth dimension. So during this month of December, I want to tell you that some of you will ascend into a fifth dimensional frequency, a fifth dimensional bandwidth, and will reside there. So this, how can I explain this? What did I write in here to help me explain it? It's like your own frequency emission, your own frequency field or fields will hold that frequency, and that will be, you'll be in co-creation of your own fifth dimensional field. So it could be like being in a band with, it's not that we leave the earth, it's that we, if you, the way that I think about it, which is simple. I'm a simple thinker. Is if you think about the earth, and then you think about like a Jaffa, or a snifter, a lolly that has a bit of chocolate with a bit of candy, with a bit of different coloured candy. So that's how I see the frequencies, the dimensional bands, and so that's what Gaia is saying, that some people will ascend into that fifth dimensional bandwidth. It doesn't mean that you won't kind of interact with other things, but that will be your permanent residential address in fifth dimensional space. Everyone gets another up leveling this month. You know how we had a couple of up levelings during November. I'm talking about December. During December, everyone gets a couple of up levelings, and so some people will move into this beyond. We'll go beyond, but we are just dealing with the kind of it sounds awful when I say the lowest common denominator, but I am just talking to you about where we're headed right now. So some will ascend into that during this month and will reside there, and we will receive joy codes. So during December, we are going to receive a lot of joy codes. They're fast, they're fun, they're high frequency. You might find yourself laughing more often, and laughing at things that didn't used to make you laugh, and laughing at like beauty, like that sort of high giggly laugh because of the beauty in our world, and witnessing the beauty, and recognizing the joy in the frequency. Very high, fine frequency energies that evoke a physical, emotional response in the body. And so during this month of December, Gaia says that we're going to have several days that come through where we'll feel those very strongly. And she's saying, oh, it's good, I'm demonstrating it already, that some laughter may sound a bit manic as we're in this experience. And she said that the crazies might come out. The sense of losing one's mind may be present, as these energies exert huge pressure on the organs of the body. So these frequencies will carry a huge crystalline component designed to assist in holding and being able to store relevant future upgrades, is what she said, in relation to memories, magic in terms of manifestation, and in, get this, desires for miracles. So these are the beginning points that we'll be dipping into during December. We in general will feel as though we are in a train on an ascending rail spiral loop track. So, think the spiral that's on here. We have more space now in the electromagnetic fields around the Earth as the magnetosphere thins. This allows more of these accelerated particles to enter and be in our closer proximity atmosphere. So it's like the magnetosphere on the exterior, and then into the geomagnetosphere, which really brings it in through the toroidal field, which imparts into us. So it's that micro, macro, that's how we're going to be affected, because those faster particles are coming closer, and then coming into the torus of the Earth, and then into us. Yes, the sun as nurturer, that's as nourisher. That's what I've been given over the last few years, is that the sun feeds us. And I don't just mean vitamin D, I mean in a much deeper way, that over the past few years and over this year in particular, where we've had a lot more regular release of filaments and flares from the sun, they are coming in to exert and invoke and create and catalyze change in our bodies so that we can come into greater consciousness. Everything may feel stirred up, a bit like a beaker with a bit of mud in it and having stirred it up so it becomes cloudy. That was the imagery I was being shown, including the weather. So we are, this is Gaia speaking, we are pushing this as fast as we can without wanting to leave anybody behind. I really feel that. I wrote that not very long ago, but I really feel that. And she says, you may feel this push energy because of this. She said, be hydrated, be oxygenated, be in present moment. This will assist you to feel upright and stabilized. So in other words, be aware of, standing upright, not leaning into the future, standing upright, being in present moment. You can oxygenate your system in that way with strong in and out breaths, either through the nose or through the mouth. So oxygenate yourself in that way regularly, feet on the ground, hydrated, of course, all the things that we've been talking about. You may feel as though you're in a centrifuge machine as well. It's go time. Tomorrow, that will be the 30th. Well, for me, I guess it will at some point for you tomorrow. And she is saying that these energies are going to be ramped up again tomorrow, that December will go by in a flash. And she said the 12th and the 21st are significant dates in December, and that the pun was intended, go by in a flash. We are on track for a significant solar flash, if not the final one. The tipping point will be when the planet moves. So when we are all at that frequency, the planet will move. So always I have been shown, and I can only give what I get, but I know that people who work with astronomy and with all of the information about the planet probably won't agree, but I've always been shown that when this comes, so when this final flash comes, it's likely to come with a noise, it's likely to come with a light flash. It will happen in, a millisecond. It's like a wash of light that comes across the planet, that you can, it's always been the sonic boom solar flash. That's always been what I've been shown, but it always shows up to me that we move as a planet. It's like a ball on a billiard table or on a snooker table, and it just gets slightly touched with the cue stick, and we are moved. And so what I'm always shown is that we move further into the photonic belt, further towards the galactic center, and that this is, in Gaia's words, it's really, I feel so touched when I say this, we are returned to being the crown jewel in the universe in our original higher dimensional position. And so we are coming into timing for that. Gaia says, we haven't committed to this timing yet, but be aware we are significantly close, and many of you will be feeling this. A propulsion to stay home, to hide away, or to move or relocate, to be somewhere else or with someone else. Follow your internal guidance. If there was ever a time to be connected to your inner guidance, this is it. So this is you feeling into your heart, feeling into your higher heart, feeling into your internal rhythm and guidance and voice. And so you get softer and you get quieter and you go in and you go deep and you speak and you can close your eyes and you can ask your higher self to guide you. You can ask your heart. And often if you feel into it, try that now actually. If you just pop your hands over your heart space and close your eyes and take a deep breath. Feel into the energy behind your hands. Go deeper. Be more relaxed. And ask your heart to give you a yes. Say, heart, show me what a yes feels like. Take a breath. Just feel it. It will be soft and subtle. It often comes with a gentle movement forward, as though your heart is expanding a little underneath your hands. Sometimes it comes with a bit of warmth. And sometimes it's hard to know until you've done both. So now ask your heart to give you what a no feels like. So heart, show me what a no feels like. Just check the contrast of that. So your body might rock back a little bit. You might feel as though someone with a big hand has put their hand on your back and given it a little squeeze. Sometimes people feel a coolness in their body from a no. And everybody is, will be around that vicinity, but in and out of differences. So just feel into that so you can get into that space easily. And also remember that if you roll your eyes up to the ceiling and then gently close your lids, that fools your brain into thinking it's going to sleep. So it moves from being in a beta or beta brainwave pattern into alpha, which is your just off to sleep or just into dream time. And so that can help you get out of your mind and into your body. But that's a good thing to practice. You have this inward focus, and remember fear. You'll all know this, false evidence appearing real. And so keep reminding yourself of that. Many of you will be in your higher aspect now, feeling in your divine or your divinity codes and not too rattled by many things. And so what Gaia says is this. So, my beloveds, get ready, get excited. This is a collective experience. Remember, souls have already chosen, and perhaps Christmas comes early. So I leave you with that, but I'll just check and see what is in here. But you can see from the notes that it's a lot. December is going to be and feel super busy, super fast, and it'll be gone past very, very quickly. Yes, Jen. Yeah, and they're blinking deep and mean. those dark washes of this energy that's being released, and we're just it's like standing outside while someone's emptying their vacuum cleaner all over us. And so just feel into what it is and then allow it to move out. So I have to tell you that yesterday, when I think it was yesterday, Yesterday, yes, I think yesterday when I was in those energies, and I decided, oh well, I am going to be deep here. I am going to be in them. I'm going to kind of wallow around in them and really feel into them, because I had a was my admin day yesterday, so I didn't have clients, and the IT guy I worked with, he wasn't coming yesterday, and so I thought I didn't enjoy it at all, but it took, by just sort of following it and following what was in my body and feeling it, I was in it for a good few hours, and probably not a very nice person to know, really, at that point. Yeah, I felt pretty grungy, and yeah. So if you if you want to give that a go, I guess I had the time and space to do that. And usually I go into a higher place and work with shifting the energies and things like that. But what is really interesting is that this is this release of, you think about it, think of all the slavery codes that have been put in imposition on humanity about you will be in debt, you will be indebtedness to the bank for your entire life, have another mortgage, get a second house, have a credit card, all of that. And then all of the work to pay for it, that's another slavery code. And then everything that comes with separation, you're old and you're young, you're Māori and you're Egyptian, and you come from Africa and you come from Sweden, and you are androgynous, and you are gender fluid, and you are on the autistic spectrum, and you are a genius, and you are wounded, and you're a victim, and all of, you are the farmer and you're the city dweller. And all of this division has been very strongly put back in place over the last 2 years, because how do we function and flourish and prosper? Through unity, through working together, through being cohesive, through being collective, through being compassionate, kind, caring, loving, and through being in knowing that we're in abundant flow of provision of all that we need. So all of these inculcations have been that, well, let's throw a war in as well. War is a good thing, isn't it? Because war creates huge fear. People are totally in their feeling unsafe zone, and as soon as you're in that zone, you're out of your higher vibration, you're out of your alignment. And then, of course, war is a great money making machine. So all of this is all being released. So that whole sort of list and beyond that I read out before is what we might be feeling through. Jen saying yes, poverty, back to herself today. Yeah, it has been rough lately. It's been really rough. Oh, I see. Look, there's someone here with love on the best dating site. I might just... I thought there was something I could do with that while we're all, but I'll just do that for now. No, it's all right. I will just come back. All right, I've done something here. Shouldn't have done that. Sorry, I thought that I should just take them out of the live. All right, I'll assume that we're okay here. Deeper and deeper, flying through the transmutations now. That's good, Jen. Are we going to start seeing aging reverse? Yes. Yes, we are. We're definitely moving into rejuvenation, regeneration, because that's another inculcation. Does anyone know what I do to get rid of this overlaying red light? Who knows? Can I scroll? I can't scroll anymore. Oh, that might be it anyway. 3 nights ago, I had a dream that I was giving birth to myself. The self that I gave birth to was a ball of white light energy. Fantastic. So that's the that might be. I mean, that was really how the light that came through on the 22nd looked. Oh, I'm really sorry, you guys. I've mucked something up here. Is that is Shoshana? Is that the last comment? Can anyone tell me? That is really bizarre. Well, I'll go quit. That was it. There was a quit button. Oh, and there are. Oh, that's good. Okay, so I think that's beautiful. Giving birth to yourself. That's such a lovely construct. Right. Oh, thank you, Beachweed. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Dawn. I'm glad it's helpful. The laughter has started being me, and it's really random. Your heart smiled. Oh, that's lovely. Oh, thank you, Beachweed. All right, so we are in for a good time, in for a quick time, in for a big, a lot of shifting and maybe feeling extra sensitive and, stay home. That's, I can't stay home, but I will be a little bit more of a hermit over this time. Spend time in nature and just keep attuning to yourself. And I thank you so much for joining me here and for feeling into the excitement of this. We're here in the most exciting time. It's a very challenging time, but we're tipping into something new. And so we can, while we are being present and exploring these energies, we can also be in this co-creation of how do we can do how our world looks, and we can think about how our world might function. But I'm a proponent for how do we feel? How do we feel in our new world? And how does everybody feel, So I want to feel in love and loved up, and I want to feel safe, and I want to feel that I can be my unique and authentic self, that I can be in creative flow, and really in my heart, I want to know and feel that our children are feeling safe and held and loved, and that their entire world sits in that space. Oh, good on you, Dawn. So 2 of you reported that, spammer. Yeah, so I want to recommend that, be feeling into how you want to be feeling in our new world, because it's going to be so different. Everything's going to sort of flip over, change. The way everything. I won't go into that now because we've been here an hour. But everything is going to change. All our systems, all our structures, our technology, the material aspects of our world. All right, so much love to all of you. Thank you again. Thank you for joining me here, and have a beautiful, amazing registering what goes on the 30th. So there's some astrology thing that I meant to check in, but my sister rang. But Lauren, who often is on the channel, she, when I said the 30th feels significant, she sent me something about the astrology. So I'll look that up when I get off here and pop it in the chat. All right. Much love. Take care.